All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome. My name's Chris, and you are watching Northgarden Comics. And this is a very special video today because it's not just my normal recorded video that I upload to YouTube. We are live, and for a very special reason, which we'll talk about here very, very shortly. But first, forgive me, I do this very infrequently. So I just want to make sure audio and visual are streaming through okay. It looks good on that camera, looks good there. And I've got a YouTube window here open on another window. I'm just going to give it a listen. I hear me. So hopefully that means that everything is good on that front. If I go over to the comments here, hey Richard, you here? I figured you'd be here. The one person who said yes, absolutely, let's do this thing live and get this unboxing going. So for you and for anybody else who may happen to join, we're going to do a live unboxing here. So glad to see you. And yeah, what we're here to do today is a live unboxing. This is a much anticipated shipment that I got yesterday. So today is Monday, December 22nd. This arrived via FedEx yesterday on Sunday. This is the Skybound Publishing Kickstarter campaign from earlier in 2025 when they did a compendium set of the original Marvel Transformers comics, both the US series as well as the UK series. And I'm going to take myself off this other screen because it is distracting me seeing me talk over there. But they did a Kickstarter earlier this year, turned out to be the largest or most successful comic book Kickstarter ever. With over 11,000 pledgers or backers, and then over $4.5 million raised. So I think it says on the home screen, we'll see here shortly, that it was funded in 2 minutes. So really, really fast. Really glad that was successful. And I've been looking forward to this since, what was that, May or June or so, when this Kickstarter went live. And now here we are. In some ways, it seems like it took a long time. In other ways, like every year, it evaporates really, really quickly. So here we are in December, and the shipments have begun. As you can imagine, that's going to take some time. I did get lucky. I was part of the early wave of shipments. And so now I have that, and I figured, you know what? This kind of thing only comes along once in a collecting life. So why not go ahead and do this live with everybody? Because I know that whether or not you backed it, if you have any interest in this at all, you probably want to see it. Because for those out there who were backers of this Kickstarter who didn't get theirs yet, then, I would want to see it and see what's going, what other people got in their Kickstarters. In fact, I've seen a couple shorts and long form videos already start to pop up on YouTube, and I've been watching those just to see what people got. And so that's the one kind of person who wants to see it. The others are people who didn't back this, and maybe you're just kind of curious as to what went into this Kickstarter, what's it all about, what did you get, how did it work, all those kind of things. And so you might have some interest there. I will tell you that this was my first Kickstarter ever. I've never backed a Kickstarter before, haven't backed another one since. So this was a learning experience for me. Let's go ahead and do some of this. I think it looks like right now it might just be me and you, Richard. If there's anybody out there in the stream, go ahead, give a hello and let us know where you're watching from. Yeah, box looks big enough to hold an old school 27-inch CRT. Yeah, it's probably good 18 inches wide or long. And yeah, this could hold a small microwave, I suppose, is what this probably could hold. Or a large toaster oven, something like that. And I'm guessing there's a box in a box. So I haven't done anything. I did take my shipping label off, but that's the only thing I've done. And I think one of these corners, there was a little piece of clear plastic I saw kind of poking out, which I think might be a patch that was included. So I have no idea what to expect. You guys are going to see this as I do. But yeah, in just a few minutes, we're going to get to this. Hey, Montana, welcome. Glad to see you here. Now, for anyone watching so far, any Transformers fans to begin with, you might be a fan of collected editions, you might be a fan of Kickstarters, but I'm curious, are there any Transformers fans watching right now? Oh, and Get On With It Yo says it's a box in a box in a box. So it might be like a little one of those nesting doll type situations that we have to get to layer by layer here, but we will get to this here shortly. What I did want to do, though, for anyone who might be curious, is to kind of give a little bit of an overview of what this Kickstarter was all about and what was involved with it, the different tiers, and then we'll get into the specifics of what I pledged and what I expect to see in this box. But let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and so that you guys can see this. So this is the page for the Kickstarter. I don't know why I keep calling it Quickstarter, but the Kickstarter campaign. Again, this was hosted by Skybound because they're the ones who currently own the license to publish Transformers comics. And that includes not only their new stuff that they're putting out every month, but the license to produce or reproduce, in this case, the older comics. Specifically here, we're talking about the Marvel years of making Marvel comics, both in the US and in the UK, which started back in 1984. And I was 11 years old when that came out. And they started in 84, went till the early 90s. And then that first volume ended. And then they got a short lived reboot with a Generation 2, just a 12-issue series. And then by the mid 90s, Transformers was done from Marvel, and they disappeared off of the comic book radar until the early 2000s when Dreamwave picked up that license. But we're not going to do the whole history here. I've been watching ever since, not quite the beginning. I probably got into them in, if I had to guess, I would say season 2 of the cartoon. Maybe I saw some of season 1, but really started to get hooked on it in season 2, and then I've been a fan ever since. Get On With It Yo has been a fan since 84. Very nice. A Gen 1 fan from the beginning. I asked that question really for a follow-up, which you already answered, because what I am curious, if you are a Transformers fan, what was the iteration of Transformers that got you into the franchise or the property to begin with? Like Get On With It Yo says, they've been there since 84. I got in with Gen 1 with that. The cartoon was my first exposure to the property, and then I started collecting the toys. And the third thing was really the comic books. And I didn't pull them out to show you, otherwise, that would have been nice to do. But my very first comic book was a Transformers comic book. It was issue number 8, the first appearance of the Dinobots, and that was something my mom bought for me. I think she got it at like a garage sale or something, because it was not a new off the newsstand copy. It was already used. And that was my first introduction to the comics. The first issue I bought for myself was issue number 35. And then I filled in all the issues prior to that, and it was collecting ever since. But yeah, so Gen 1, but I've watched some of the videos, even of people opening their Kickstarters. And I think one person got into Transformers during the Beast Wars era. Was that the late 90s Beast Wars, or was that the early 2000s? I should know this. I have all of the shows, like the Gen 1 Beast Wars, Beast Machines, some of Transformers Prime, but I have a lot of those earlier shows on DVD. And you can't see it, but down here in the comic book room, we have a TV up there, and I was playing through season 2 of Beast Wars a little bit earlier today, just kind of having it run in the background. But yeah, I've been there since the beginning. So yeah, as people join, if you're a fan of the Transformers, let us know. And what generation or what iteration of Transformers brought you to the franchise to begin with? So, all right. What I will say as we get ready to shift gears here and start looking at the Kickstarter a little bit closer, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm monologuing here and have no way to know if anybody's engaged. One of the benefits of live is that you get to interact with people in real time. So nice to be able to do that. So if you're out there, definitely let us know. All right. So I started to talk about this Kickstarter that Skybound is doing. They've got the license, so they're the ones who have the rights to be able to do this thing. They started a Kickstarter where they were going to republish all of the original Marvel comics from the US and the UK in collected edition format. And so this was the Kickstarter. You can see here pledged over $4.6 million with 11,315 backers. And there were a number of ways that you could support this Kickstarter and therefore get access to these stories. And we'll take a look at some of those different tiers, but you got all kinds of add-ons that we'll talk about here. The two main breakdowns of the printed books, though, are what they called the compendiums. And that's what you see here too, where you see a red and a purple, a red and a purple, or the compendium set where they called it Till All Are One. The main difference between those two was that the compendiums kept the US and the UK stories separate, and the Till All Are One compendiums actually intertwined those stories into what their best take at a reading order would be. So at some point you start to ping pong back and forth a little bit between some of the stories going on in the US comics and then some of the stories going on in the UK comics. Another very important distinction, I'll say, between the separate compendiums versus the Till All Are One compendiums is you actually get different content depending on which one you went with. And for example, in the, let's scroll down here, I'll show you the books. So US compendiums, you get Transformer in Compendium 1, you get issues 1 to 46, and then the Headmasters limited series, 4 issues. In Compendium 2, you get issues 47 to 80, and then you get the movie limited series, issues 1 to 3, and then Transformers Generation 2, issues 1 through 12. And if I'm not mistaken, that table of contents will be mimicked in the paperback compendiums that are already both available. The US ones are both available already, that you can buy online or your comic book store and things like that. The UK then compendiums, and I don't think they've started to release these yet, but these have, you can see all the different UK issues that are in there, the annuals, and then more UK, more annuals, and then the UK Generation 2 series, which was just issues 1 and 2. That's what you get when they're separate. When you get them intertwined, you actually get more. And so in this case, I won't tell you all the details, but you'll see if you compare the table of contents in the Till All Are One, you see there's this appearance of this Women's Day issue or story that was in one of the Transformers UK series. And then you also get the G.I. Joe in the Transformers limited series, issues 1 through 4. You don't get that in the regular compendium. And then I thought there was something else too. Oh yeah, there is down here in Compendium 4. You'll see you get where is it? Transformers Universe. That was kind of like the Marvel's version, which was the official handbook of different characters, or DC's Who's Who in the DC universe. You get that in the Till All Are One compendium set, but you don't get that in the other. Now the question was, didn't realize these were hardback. Yeah, these are hardback. We'll get to see those. And there were two different styles you could choose from. You could choose either the Autobot set or the Decepticon set. And in some cases, you could pledge enough and get both, so you didn't have to choose between the two. Oh, you got the Till All Are One set. Okay. Used to have the complete set of the US comics, though some issues got lost over the years. Yeah, that's an all too familiar story. But only had read a few UK stories, had no clue where they fit into the continuity. Same with me. The only UK stories I had read, well, prior to what I will read in this, was it like issues like 33 and 34, whereas the Iron Knight or something like that, that was UK stories that they brought over, but only that kind of limited exposure is all I had as well. So now I'll be able to see all of it, and now we'll actually get it intertwined so you get a better reading experience, but you also get those additional issues. Now the reason you get those additional issues is, from what I understand, it's about page count. So when you have the US issues, you've got only so many pages you can squish into a volume 1, and then similarly, how many pages you can put into volume 2. And then you've got 2 volumes to do the UK series. because you're not overlapping, they have to stay completely separate. And at some point, you have to cut it off. Now, when you intermix them together, now you can play with that page count a little bit more. And I guess it turns out that there's more US issues than could fit into two compendiums, but there was few enough UK to fit into two compendiums, and so there was some space left over. So now when you start to mix them together, well, now you've got extra room at the very end that you can put in other stuff, and that's why, because you had extra page count left over, you could put in those other series like the Universe 1 through 4 with additional profiles, and then the Transformers and G.I. Joe, for example. So if I was on the fence at all about getting one or the other, that right there would have easily pushed me over into the till all or one camp, because I want to get everything or as much as I possibly can without, having to, have any orphaned issues or things left out. Now, did they do every single thing that was done from that time? I'm guessing they did everything that Marvel and in both US and UK did. But for those of you who are collecting at the time, there were some other series. For example, was it Blackstone that did one? It was the Transformers 3D series. Was that a 3-issue series? I have that one, but that's different publisher, so that wouldn't be in this compendium, and unrelated continuity wise. And then there was also like the How to Draw the Transformers. Those aren't in here. I think I might only have one of those issues. So there are still some single issues out there in the world that I'd like to eventually track down and add to my collection. But this does the best job yet of putting all of that together. So yeah, you've got the two different ways that you can experience those, or two different ways to collect. Both of those come in these. You've got the boxes here, so you've got the Autobot version and you've got the Decepticon version. I chose the Autobot version. It may be boring, but my heart of hearts, I'm an Autobot at heart. I guess if I played Dungeons and Dragons, I'd probably be what is it? I forget the term now. Not chaotic good, but I'd be one of the good guys. And I wasn't ever a Decepticon. To give you one example, I remember in 1986 when the animated movie came out, and I went to the theater to see it right away, of course. And I didn't drive myself. I got driven. I don't think, it may have just been me and my brother who saw it together, but we saw it. I was so traumatized by the death of Optimus Prime and the rampant carnage that took place against so many of my favorite characters on the Autobot side. I wanted to go home and break all my Decepticon toys. That's how passionately I felt about it. I didn't, but that's how I felt about it. That was traumatizing. And every meme that you see and little video that talks about the Gen X kids who were traumatized by the death of Optimus Prime in that animated movie, it's absolutely true. It is 100% accurate. And yeah, we were wrecked by that. I don't know what that means, Richard. Maybe I'm not internet savvy enough for that one. But yeah, so anyway, and the different sets come with tech spec cards. In case you don't know, tech specs were originally built into, that was deleted. That's funny. Oh, very nice. I hope he doesn't watch this. Otherwise, you're gonna have spoil. I'm gonna take that off just so he doesn't see it. I don't want any Christmas magic being spoiled. But anyway, tech specs were on the backs of the packaging for the toys, and it told you the character name, usually a phrase or the catchphrase, something that they were known for, and then a whole description of what they were like and where they fit into their team. And then on the right-hand side, you can see all the red squiggly lines and things. That was, supposed to be masking really all their different specs, from their strength, their speed, their agility, all these different kinds of things. And then you would have a red kind of cellophane type rectangular card that came with the package, and you'd lay that over top so you could block out the red, and then you'd see their tech specs. And so those were a classic element of having the toys as a kid, and so they did a reproduction of several of the tech specs with updated art. You can see some of these. Well, Andrew Wildman was drawing back then. Jorge Corona and Mike Spicer doing. They've worked on the current series with Skybound, and then there's Optimus Prime. There's a whole Decepticon set, and depending on whether you went for the Autobot set or the Decepticon set, you get different sets of tech specs. And the tech spec cards include the decoder, so there should be some decoders in here to go with that. The Jetfire card was a special card. I think if you signed up early to get notifications about the Kickstarter before it happened, you would be eligible to get a Jetfire. I did do that, so there should be a Jetfire card in here. And then you've got the rewards, all these different signed versions that you could get. I don't know that I would have been able to get a signed one. I don't think I got in early enough or I didn't see that, but those you can see flew out the door. And then here's the different layers or levels of tiers that you could pledge. So for $60, you could get digital copies of the comics, either the US, the UK, or both. For those people who like to read digital comics, then that's the way they went. You could actually, I think it shows you down, it'll show us down further how many people pledged each of those levels. But then let's just Ironhide, Laserbeak. So you have an Autobot and Decepticon version where you can get the US compendiums, the UK compendiums. Elita 1 starts to get into where you get everything, but this is the separate US and UK. Soundwave is the Decepticon version, separate US, UK. And then Grimlock is the first Till All Are One tier, where you get everything interwoven together. And then Starscream is the Decepticon version of that. And then you get even to higher stuff. Jetfire gets you both the Autobot and Decepticon edition. So if you want to have one of each, there's the Optimus Prime, which gets you the I'm not going to read all this stuff to you. You can go on here to the Kickstarter and look at this page yourself if you want to scroll through these and just see what all the different levels are. You can see they get $900 was the most expensive one for Unicron, where you get all kinds of extras. But I want to show you before we actually open the box. You can see these here are the stretch goals. So you had the initial, the initial kind of campaign, which was reprinting the stories. But then as they raise different levels of money, that would unlock additional rewards. And I knew some of the rewards I was hoping to see show up because I had watched the same type of campaign for the G.I. Joe compendiums that Skybound did like the year before this one. And so I was hoping some of those similar things would show up, and pretty much all of them did that I was looking for. But as you can see here, as it hit different tiers, you unlocked little things like, all right, spot gloss added to the box sets. Then you could get a double-sided bookmark, a ribbon, like a bookmark reading ribbon that was added to all the books. Started to get some fold-out posters. You started to get, they're die-cut stickers. Now, some of these things applied for everybody. Other rewards applied for the particular tier that you pledged. So if you went with the Autobot, you got the Autobot version. If you went with the Decepticon, you got the Decepticon version. So it all depended on what you pledged. That would determine what rewards you got. And yeah, so you can see down here, there's patches, lenticular print, foil. That's fun. As a Gen X kid, love the foil on comic books and books. It's a great addition. And Skybound has been doing that on these versions as well. You can see this is one of the collected editions of their current Transformers comics. And you can see it's got that foil treatment on the cover and on the front, or on the spine on the back. And they do that for all the Energon Universe titles. So that's a pretty nice addition. But then there's posters and gilded edges. Those are sharp looking. You'll see those here. An enamel pin, challenge coin. I don't know. Maybe some people like to have the coins. And then some exclusive reprint comics. So they did a reprint of issue number 5, which is probably arguably the most famous issue, at least for the cover, with Soundwave on there. Not Soundwave, Shockwave on the cover there, where the Transformers are all dead. And then there's an add-on version you could get of that, additional tech spec cards. Transformers #2 reprint, and then unsigned archival prints, and then there was issue 67. Yeah, it was the 3rd issue. So there's 3 reprint issues that got included in here. So all that stuff, and here's some pictures of all those good things that are included in this. So yeah, have I done enough talking? Is it time to actually open this bad boy? I'm gonna move my coffee so that I don't inadvertently spill it on anything. And let me go ahead and turn that one off so we make this big again. And I think I've left enough space here. I'm not gonna tip the box and do all this kind of stuff, but let's actually cut into this and see what is inside. This definitely feels like Christmas came early. All right, so this wasn't even fully inside. This almost fell out, so hopefully nothing actually fell out. This is the Autobot patch that came with my tier of pledges. And I should tell you, the tier I went with is Grimlock. So Grimlock is the Autobot box, and it's the Till All Are One compendium set. But all the Autobot pledges got this patch as one of the items included. And I don't think I said this before, but you could add on things. So if you got the Autobot version, but you also wanted a Decepticon patch, you could spend like $10 or something like that. I will admit that's really tempting when you're in this and you're already dropping hundreds of dollars on this. So, $10 more doesn't feel like much, but I really just hit the brakes on a lot of the extras, because as cool as this is, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I mean, I like having it, but I'm not going to spend $10 on another one. So I'm just going to be happy with the one that I have. But so there's our patch. I'll put that there. And that's all I can. Okay. We do have a few more things. Here is the challenge coin. This is the Autobot. Oh, is that going to focus on it? Is that focusing for you guys? The Autobot challenge coin. See if we can we take this out and show you? We'll see what's on it, like what the heads and tails is. Will this open? Come on. It's pretty heavy. Okay, so it looks like it'd probably be the same for everybody. So it's got the Autobot symbol on the one side and Decepticon symbol on the other side. So that is the challenge coin. I'll set that down. Then we've got the Autobot sticker, again, because I had the Autobot pledge tier. I got the Autobot sticker. It's got that nice reflective, I called that space tape as a kid, that reflective trim around it. I love that. In fact, I love that stuff so much. I want to show you something completely unrelated. But I told you my mom got me that first Transformers comic, issue #8, when I was a kid. One of the other things she brought home at the same time that I still have is this. It's a little disc. It's a metal disc. You put it on a tabletop and you spin it like a top. It's got a little kick out at the bottom there, and you just spin it, and the prismatic effect of all the reflection, you get all the rainbow colors in there. It catches all the light in the room, and it's just mesmerizing to look at. But I absolutely love this pattern. I don't think I could call it a core memory, because it's not just something I remember or that triggers one specific memory, but it definitely is a nostalgic trigger for me. And so I love it. My kids will wrap, Christmas presents for me in this kind of wrapping paper, and they can find it. Absolutely love it. And I've saved it. If you could see over there, I still have some of that wrapping paper from Christmases past where I've just kept it because I love it so much. But all right, we got the sticker. And then we've got here's the two-sided bookmark. So you got Starscream on the one side and Bumblebee on the other. So you get your bookmark there. And then, yeah, now we're dealing with, there is some bubble wrap and then a box inside the box. So I'm going to go ahead and get this other box out. That one feels more like a brick. Oh, there's stuff here too. All right, there's more inside the big box that I will pull out, and we'll take a look at those. Make sure I don't miss anything here. Inside here, I think I'll get everything. I'll just show you in case those of you who are getting one of these, you can see how it's packed. There's just the green bubble wrap that's inside there. Okay, that wasn't so bad. All right, so put this up here. And now we've got another more goodies to look at. Here is the pin, Autobot symbol pin, or there's one YouTuber I watch. He's from the UK. I assume he's from the UK, but he will post different unboxings, and I absolutely love to watch his unboxings. When he does like a mail call where he's just got a bunch of packages that have showed up and he's just going to open them on camera, I find it super soothing. I will just put his videos on at night and just listen to them. I've fallen asleep to them on many, many occasions. Just love listening to his voice and listening to him talk about the different stuff. But he would call that a badge, I think. That would be a badge to him, but I call it a pin. There's the Autobot symbol pin. And then we've got, let's open those in a minute. Here are some of the unsigned prints. So here's the Starscream one. Let's open this up and see if we can see what else is in here. If there's more than one. Oh yeah, there's several in here. Okay, or two. You've got Soundwave also. And then what's this? Is this anything? No, that's just the backing. So the two unsigned prints there. Decepticon versions. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this back in right now. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Let's just set these aside. Perhaps we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that later. We've got a lenticular print of Jazz. You can see it transforming robot mode, alt mode. And then here we have the lenticular Grimlock, robot mode, dinosaur mode, robot, dinosaur. So those are very cool. And then what else do we have here? These look like Willy Wonka candy bars. These are the tech specs. Now the collector part of me kind of doesn't even want to open these. I mean, I will, but I feel a little bit bad. It's just such a cool package. Kickstarter exclusive tech spec cards. And then here's another one. Doesn't tell me what this one is. Doesn't tell me what any of these are, but these are smaller. It might just be one or two each in these. But the main bulk of the Autobot one, I think, is in here. Maybe what I'll show you real quick before I open those. Check this out. Can you see this back here? So this is a spiral bound notebook that I've had since the 80s when I was collecting these. And to give you an idea of how old this is, anybody out there remember dot matrix printers? Dot matrix printers, anyone? Yeah. Right? Should have bought two kits so I could open one and keep one all sealed. Yeah, it's only money, right? What are you gonna where's the regret in that? But yeah, the collector part of me does like the way these look all sealed up, but I will open them. But dot matrix printers, look at this, what I had made as a kid. Yeah, that's right. It had the perforated side. So that was something I made on my computer at home. And then I have this. This still has the edges to it, but this was actually, I'm not going to open this all for you, but this actually goes all the way, this will unfold all the way across. It says Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, and I had that hanging on my room hanging on my wall as a kid. And then Transformers the movie. This was high-tech computer stuff at the time. But the reason it looks like this, you might notice some black or some really dark outlines there. 22 years ago, my family and I had a house fire as we were still living in New Jersey at the time. And the house we were renting at the time had a fire in the basement where all of my comic books and Transformers action figures and collection was. And everything was salvaged in a way because um I didn't have to, well, I did have to throw some stuff away. I did have a whole shelf of toys that just melted beyond any even recognition, and those had to be thrown away. But most of the stuff I was able to clean up a little bit and save. That is soot marks from where smoke had gotten into whatever this was being stored in at the time. And I haven't had the heart to get rid of these things. But you can see here, even on this notebook, that's all soot. Doesn't smell really sooty anymore, but that's soot from the fire. This was how I would keep these were my checklists that I would write out of which ones I had from the first checklist, the second checklist, the third, etc. I started keeping this. This looks like this was September of 1987 that I wrote this one. My penmanship was much better at the time, but I had Transformers that I have, Transformers that I need. And just so you can see my fingers are black. That's the soot still. I probably shouldn't have touched this before opening these compendiums, but I'll have to make sure I'm not rubbing anything off on these things. But yeah. Oh, the whole thing I wanted to show you was I would cut my tech specs out and I would actually tape them into the notebook like this. So I have a lot of my original tech specs from when I was a kid, and I've just kept them, and I have them there. So just a fun piece of childhood and history. Do I have a way? I feel a cough. Hopefully I was able to mute that quickly enough before I coughed. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Glad you could join the live stream. It's good to see you in real time. And if anybody out there with a YouTube channel hops on the live stream, if you want to jump in, I can email you the code if you want to come on. I've been following Eric's channel for years now. Eric, I don't even remember when did you start your channel? But it's called Eric Spag. If anybody's interested, definitely check out his channel. If you like, especially dollar books, but very similar to me, anytime you get good books for great prices, Eric's channel is going to be right up your alley, and he finds some really, really good stuff. And I love to see the stuff that he collects. There's a good amount of it that overlaps with things that I like, but then there's plenty of stuff that he exposes me to that I'd never seen before, artists that I never knew or paid attention to. I will say the danger in that, so be warned as you go in there, is that you will be adding things to your wish list. If you're anything like me, I watch his hauls and I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, pull out CLZ. Got to add that to my wish list now. But started in 2020. All right. So we started probably right around the same time. I think I started in like March of 2020. It was like right at the beginning of COVID. I don't think it was directly triggered, where I said, I'm going to be home now. Let me start a YouTube channel, but it just happened to correspond to that. And yeah, pretty wild, but good to see you here, Eric. All right, so let's keep going with the extras. I will open those. Well, yeah, let's just open this pack of tech specs so you can see it. Can I do this in a way that preserves the packaging, perhaps? There is a little tear off here, but it looks like it wants to tear the entire length of the package, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to clip it that way so I can slide these out. There's your little decoder. And then here we've got, there's Bumblebee. And I apologize if these are not coming through clearly. I'm trying to hold it at the right distance so it focuses. But my eyes are bad enough that I can't see the actual view that you see, so I can't tell. It's all just blurry to me. There's Bumblebee, Optimus Prime. We've got Ironhide, Omega Supreme. And then there's Hot Rod. If these are all blurry to you guys, I apologize. It's going to be a huge waste of time if it is. All right. Prowl. You have some of the comic writers in the pack just opened. Yeah, I know they did like a Simon Furman card and a Bob Budiansky card. That was one of the additional tiers. Fortress Maximus, fantastic Autobot. Can you see that? There's so many. Jazz. You get the idea. And then let's see, Mirage, Ultra Magnus. He's a great one too. Ratchet, RC, Blaster, Rodimus Prime, and Wheeljack in this pack. So this is the biggest pack. That's all the different Autobots. But then I'll show you. Let's see. Let's tap this down. I don't want to risk cutting the card. It's a little nerve-wracking because I feel a little bit of resistance when I cut through that, and I'm afraid I'm going to cut the card. All right, this is the Jetfire card that I told you about before, where if you signed up early, you got that additional card. And here I'll put here's the holding the little decoder over the front of it. You can see his tech specs. And then the last one is probably what someone just mentioned before, the creator cards in this guy here. All right, yep. We've got just the one. Oh no, there's two. Okay, here's Bob Budiansky. So much of the credit for the lore and the characters and their bios that we know and love today is credited to him. And then Simon Furman. Whoa, that's really blurry. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, Simon Furman. So that would be pretty cool to be immortalized in a tech spec card. But those are those extras. Let's move these over here. Let's put this in here. And then, all right. It's here. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you're here and watching. I don't know exactly what that does with the algorithm, but I know it likes it. Let's see. All right. Oh, this guy here, this envelope, which has got this is the reprint bundle. So this should have 3 comic books in it. I did not pay up to get the foil versions of those. As much as I like foil, I didn't want to pay extra for those. But let's do these in order. So first here's the reprint of issue number 2. Now these say reprint. Are these facsimiles? I don't know if the ads and everything are the same, but there's issue number 2. And back at this point, it was still expected just to be a 4-issue limited series, but then it was doing well, and so it continued on for 80 issues before it finally got canceled. And then secondly, here's issue number 5 with the Shockwave cover. And then lastly, you've got issue number 67, one of 2 covers provided by Jim Lee from this original series. He did this one, and I think the other one was issue 53, I want to say. I forget the character's name, but she's holding a Transformer head and a sword, but Jim Lee did 2 different covers for that. So I'm pretty sure that's probably why that one got picked for reprinting. But yeah, so nice 3 reprint issues that were included as extras there. Let's go back over to the comments here. Directed by Michael Bay. All right, so that's that box. Now let's dive into this next layer to see what we got here. I wasn't sure, I couldn't remember, but I pulled out one of my original tech spec decoders in case one didn't come with them, and I could show you the tech specs that way. But all right, let's go ahead and open the next box of the nesting dolls. I'm going to carefully move these other extras out of the way. Stay there. Decoders. Okay. Here we go. Here. Sorry if I cause any camera earthquakes. Moving things around. This one's definitely a lot, fuller. It doesn't feel like it's got as much spare room inside. But thankfully, you're opening with scissors. Oh man. All right. It is a box in a box. Okay. Let's try. See there, box in a box. So, whoa, that's an earthquake. That's an earthquake. See if I can do this here. All right. Nothing in that box. Over there you go. Now I'll turn this up. So now we've got to open one more box. Yeah. All right, now is where we get to the good stuff. Okay, so this box is more like a this has been more engineered, so it actually is revealing. I don't know if there's anything in there. It's just padding. Right, let me just take this off. I think that's the box. I don't think there's anything. No, that's just box with padding. Okay, so here is the box itself, and now we got to figure out how do we get this so you guys can see it well. What if we raise this up? So professional what we're doing here. So professional. Okay. Yeah, now you can see the table. Let's push this back a little bit. Hopefully y'all can still hear me well. All right, so here now we're getting to the meat itself. This is the Autobot box. You can see with the symbol there. You've got, and it is plastic wrapped, Transformers logo on that side. This is the image that you saw on the Kickstarter page. I think Daniel Warren Johnson, does all of the art on the outsides of these boxes. Transformers logo on that side. And then this kind of team image of the Autobots on that opposite side. The Decepticon version, very similar. So you've got, I think it's Megatron, and then you've got the team image of the Decepticons on the other side there. I believe both of those group images are included as fold-out posters in these books. So whether you got the one or the other, you should still have posters of both of those, if I remember reading that correctly. So now let's go ahead and poke a hole in this plastic and get this opened up. All right, here we are. Now, in case, I'm sure most of you have probably seen these opened already, whether it was this one or the G.I. Joe, but the way this opens is really nice like that. So it's a very nice presentation of this. I'm going to have to figure out how I want to display this on my shelves because I want to see the books, but I also want to see the box. And so maybe I'll separate them and put the box there like a piece of art on the shelf and then have the books next to it. But let me turn this so you can kind of see it like showcase, and I'll open these up for you. So if we open the doors like this, there you go. Nice. Let's hide this. And then now you can see all four of the compendiums. They have a unique smell. I know we all smell our comic books, right? And each era of comics has kind of its own unique and, good smell. Like your newsprint stuff is, of course, the most classic. And then even when you start to get the glossy paper, that has a different smell. Modern comics and current things that are coming out, that has its own smell. Collected editions like what I've got back here, those have their own smell. Marvel ones smell different than DC, smell different than Image. I think Marvel is my favorite smell of the omnibus type collections. But that's that. Now let's start to show you these, because this is probably the coolest part. It's the main part of what everyone's looking forward to. All right, let's pull one of these out. It's kind of this like a faux leather cover. And you can see there you've got Optimus Prime. on the front, Transformers, Compendium 1 on the side, and then Autobot symbol on the back. And then really cool, like I said before, the gilded edges. Wow, look at that. Kind of space tapey, kind of like Energon, people have said. I don't know. I remember the Energon and the Energon cubes in the cartoon being more rainbowy, but these are blue. They're all blue. They're great. And then you've got a reading ribbon. I have not stretched these out yet, so I'm going to be careful with them. But here in Compendium 1, you've got in the back, we've got a reproduction unsigned of the cover to issue number 1. And then you've got places down there where there's some people I think who have the signed versions. So they have Simon Furman and Bob Budiansky's signatures there. Who knows? If I ever see them, maybe I could get them to sign that. But I've never been a big signature person, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Here's one of the fold-out posters I mentioned. There's that one image of Optimus Prime. So we'll stick this back here. What's this? Was issue 6 excluded from this print run? As when IDW did their reprint, they could not print issue 6 due to Spider-Man. Oh, I think that's not issue 6. That's issue 3. But I believe he's in here. So since we've got Compendium 1 out, we'll take a look at that to confirm it. Here's the inside, the end sheets. You've got a nice Autobot symbol there. And then let's open it up here. If I had different camera angles, I would show you the overhead view of this now. Title page. And then your credits. I won't show you every single page. We'll get into this. Here's the first issue cover. First page there. And the paper is kind of a matte paper. It's not glossy at all, but it's not quite newsprint. It is smoother than newsprint. I think that the compendiums that they're putting out are really that old school newsprint. This is probably a higher quality paper than that, but it still looks really good from a colors perspective and things. Let's fast forward to issue number 3 here, if I can. Interestingly, there are not page numbers, which I guess doesn't really matter too much. All right, let's go back here. It's easy to skip over because I already came across a UK issue that I don't know anything about. So let's see. All right, here we go. Yeah, so here is, there's that issue number 3 with Spider-Man. So included in the compendiums is issue 3 with Spider-Man. So they got the okay. They got the okay to do that. And then there's, I mean, look at some of this stuff. You've got, I don't even know what this is from, if it's just one of the regular issues or what, but it almost looks like a novel. You got some prose, and you got a full splash page on the other side with Hound, and look, that might be Hound and Jazz. But I'm not going to open these too much, just because I hear the pages kind of crunching and cracking, so I want to stretch this out nicely. But really, really happy with that. Everything looks really good. If I were going to offer one critique of this at all, and I say this cautiously because I think these are awesome. I love oversized art. It's one of the things I love about getting the omnibus editions. If these could have been oversized, that I would have just been over the moon happy about that. But this is not bad in any way, shape, or form. But if I could have, gone the extra mile, I would have asked for these to be oversized. That would have been just the best of the best. But I don't want that to sound like a complaint at all, because I'm very, very happy with these. One thing I haven't confirmed, we'll do this together. I wasn't sure if it was the same character or different on each of the 4 volumes. You saw volume 1 has Optimus Prime. Volume 2, then you've got Bumblebee, and then the side is the same other than the number 2, and then the back is going to be the same with the Autobot symbol. And then volume 3 or compendium 3 has Jazz on the cover. You can see him there. And then lastly, you've got Grimlock on volume 4. And then inside, I did see somebody point this out on the G.I. Joe version, so I'll point this out here as well. I don't even know that I would have picked up on this, but well, mine's a little, I got a little damage in mine, but this is a non-critical piece. I can always reattach this. What this is in here, let me see if I can squish this down a little bit. Because these sit in the box down like this, that actually over time, gravity is going to be pulling on those pages. And I guess your spine could over time start to feel that wear and that strain of the weight of the pages pulling down all the time. But they've thought of that. And so inside, in the bottom, if you can see, there's 4 vertical strips, it looks like. Those are actually foam bumpers inside that will then align with the pages. So that way, when you put the volumes in, if you're storing it this way, they provide that relief. It's like a neck brace, but for the pages. So it holds them up so they're not going to put that strain on the spine over time. So that's a really nice little addition there. Like I said, one of mine does seem to be unglued, but not a critical thing. I'd much rather that happen than see damage to one of the compendiums themselves. So, but these are really, really nice. Anybody watching right now, anybody else? I know there was a couple people who said that they got theirs, or they got the Till All Are One. Anybody else here pledge for this Kickstarter? Did you get yours already? Are you still waiting for it? Which tier did you pledge? Let us know in the comments. I too would have loved an oversized book, especially since the hardcover issues were originally larger. Wait, the HK, yeah. So, or the UK issues were originally larger. Right, that's true. And were the annuals also larger? Because I know there's a tradition in British comics, like every year when they come out with like a Christmas annual, those are larger printed. I would have loved to see, the larger format for those. Anybody in the comments? I'm throwing out questions now, but did anybody watching? Do any of you have any of the UK issues, the originals? That's something I would absolutely love to have if I ever get over to the UK to be able to pop into some comic shops. It's probably a pipe dream because they're not going to be cheap, but it would still be super cool to find some of those issues. Yeah, UK.HK. Yep, I got you. Just took me a second to pick that one up there, but now I'm getting that. So, yeah, but did anybody else pledge for this? Did anybody else get theirs already? Anybody have any problems with theirs so far? I did see one person post a video on YouTube, and one of their volumes had some either something stuck to the gilded edges, or they might have been scratched a little bit, but no evidence of any of that kind of stuff on my versions of it. So that was pretty good. So, all right, who's here? Anybody else got anything? Well, yeah, so there you have it. Kickstarter campaign. I'll show this bad boy up like this again. I'm very, very excited to have this. Christmas came early. Man, I'm going to spend a lot of time just looking over these images, poring over the artwork. It's very, very cool. I'll show you the team image again. That's a really good one. There you go. I hear you, Richard. Well, I mean, hey, for me, how much of what I collect comes from the dollar bins, right? And then so to do this, it's really unusual. The video I just put up yesterday had that Savage She-Hulk #1 that I spent up for. But here's one of the ways that I think about it in my mind. And I mean, unless money's not an object for you, and then you can get whatever you want, whenever you want. But for me, I like to get as much as I can for the money I'm spending on it. And the more I find in the dollar bins, that frees up resources for those times where I want to get something that's a little more special. Like Savage She-Hulk #1 to complete my volume, something like that. This one, this was just a once in a lifetime kind of an opportunity. Will they ever do these again in other hardcover formats, or maybe that coveted oversize that I want so badly? Maybe, but do I really want to wait for that to see if that ever happens? Somebody's home. You can probably hear my dogs going crazy. That's Penny and Sherman, our two rescues. They let us know anytime somebody comes in the door or just gets home. But yeah, so these were not cheap, but that took a little bit of saving and figuring out with the budget how I was going to do this one, but we're able to do it. And now that it's spent and now that it's here, I'm really, really glad that I did it. Really, really happy to be able to have this. And I will say that I do have in a cabinet over there, I have my original Marvel Comics Transformer series from when I was a kid and I was collecting them. I had to piece together, like I told you earlier, those first like 34 issues as back issues. And then I got everything from issue 35, pretty much everything new after that. There were a handful, I think it was less than 10 issues that I did not buy new when they were coming out. And since then, I have pieced those together. Most of them, believe it or not, I have found in the dollar bins in really good condition, with the exception of one or two that I had to spend up where I was able to get them for like $10. And then similarly with the Generation 2 12-issue series, I collected the first 6 of those when they first came out. And then since then, I've been able to piece together 5 of the remaining issues in the dollar bins. And the one issue that's a holdout is issue number 12. But for maybe a tease for the future, if I've got a good story for you about issue 12, and it's related to a haul that I just picked up a week or two ago. We had a garage con here in the Twin Cities, and it was crazy. The actual temperature outside was, was it 0? Was the actual temperature 0 and the feels like was 15 below, or it felt like 20 below, something like that. And one of the sellers here decided to do a garage con out of his house. Now the garage was heated and insulated and things like that, but you got to walk through the frigid cold to get there. And everyone's packed into a tight space and looking through boxes. But I've got a haul coming up. I'm going to show you probably in a couple weeks here. You can see that. But I've got a story about that Transformers Gen 2 issue number 12 that'll make it into that haul video. Let's see. I guess before we drop off here, I'll tell you some things coming up maybe for the weeks to come. I put up a video yesterday. That was a haul video. And then this, of course, we've got today, and this will live here. And then next week, right for New Year's, I think, I've got one final haul that I'm going to show you for 2025. And it's one of my largest hauls of the entire year. It's from a little while back now. It came from our Fall Con show, which was in October. But one of the sellers had a deal where you could fill an entire long box for $50, 50. And I spent hours and I packed that thing so tight. But I've been debating how to show you all those comic books because there's so many. And I've been trying to figure out, how do I divide them up? Do I make it like 2 or 3 videos? How do I do this? What's going to make the most sense for people? But I think that with it being New Year's, I think I'm going to put it live on New Year's Eve. And I'm just going to do one video. And it's just going to be as long as it takes to show you all of those books. And then it can just be the kind of video that you can have playing in the background. You could be multitasking. I've had some people say that they put on my videos when they're bagging and boarding. I do some of the things like that too, where I'll listen to, after the fact, I'll listen to what were live streams that go on for hours. And I don't have the time to just focus in and listen attentively that entire time. But I'll put it on while I'm doing something else here in my comic book room. But it'll be that kind of video. So that way you'll see all the books. For those of you who want to watch a really long video, you can hang in there and check out all those books and to kill time on New Year's before you start the countdown. But I figure that's just probably the easiest way to do that. And then the other thing to let you know, if you're newer to the channel, I've been toying with a giveaway that I will be talking about sometime in 2026 but I have to work out the details still of how I want to do this. But it's going to be a different kind of a giveaway than anything I've seen before. Maybe it exists out there. I don't know, but I haven't seen it. So I'm going to go ahead and call it unique for now, but it'll be a different kind of giveaway. So if you have any interest in watching hauls and things like that, or getting in on that giveaway, be sure to subscribe to the channel, get your notifications on, and then stay tuned sometime in 2026 for that, because there will be a fun giveaway. I think will be right up the alley of folks who like to collect like this. So with that, we've been on here just a little bit over an hour, and I'm not seeing a lot of fresh things in the comments here. So maybe it's time to wrap this up. Yeah, for those of you who are waiting for your Kickstarter, I hope that they come very, very soon for you, and that you get all the excitement and the joy out of them that you've been expecting to get. I have, yeah, I'm super excited to have this now finally. And of course, I've only peeked at these with you, but now I can spend time over the break here. Took some time off work, and I'll be able to really look at these in detail, and maybe there'll be a follow-up video if there's something worthy there. But really happy to have these. Really happy that you joined this little journey here to watch this unboxing together. And so for those of you who celebrate, I'll say Merry Christmas. To everyone, a Happy New Year, and just enjoy a fun and festive season. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody.